Ladies, gentlemen, and genetic anomalies, what is happening? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I hope that today's stream makes your day at least a little bit better. I'm your host, Andy, coming to you live from the East Coast of the United States of America. And today, we're going to be talking about a variety of topics. Unfortunately, the bros are not available to be on the Bro SMP today, so we will not be covering or doing anything in regards to the Bro SMP, but I do want to tease this for you because you guys are actually gonna love this. There is some very, very juicy drama brewing on the Bro SMP, and this is the type of drama that could potentially expand into an all-out war if certain demands are not met. I don't want to give away too much, but I'm gonna say this has been brewing behind the scenes and is continuing to brew and build up, for every single week that passes without us streaming. So really looking forward to hopping onto the Bro SMP next week. Unfortunately, not everyone was available today, but next week we're really going to be diving in on this, and it's going to be great. I think that it actually has the chance to be the best content that we've done for the Bro SMP so far. I wasn't expecting the offline developments to occur the way that they did, but they did. So really excited for that. I really can't wait to do that stream. That's gonna be so much fun. I really hope that who is it? I really hope that one of my sisters who's on does not leak or spoil what the drama is, because I really want to build anticipation for it too. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. But also, we've got a lot of stories to cover, some serious stories, some not so serious stories. Most of the stories are going to be serious, but I do want to sort of ease into the topics at hand today. We've got normal news things, but there's some other stuff too that's like not as grim, not as serious. Oh, there was one thing I wanted to react to. Yes, I wanted to cut off the music because this is going to be another segment. But yeah, there's this one thing I wanted to react to. So if you guys didn't notice, during the last stream, Mike, the guy who runs the YouTube channel, The Angry Canadian, he was bragging about the stuff that he's been building in Minecraft. I asked him if he made a video. He said he didn't make a video, but he was kind enough to send a few screenshots into the Discord server. So I'm going to dive into the Discord server. By the way, for those of you who are not in the Discord server, make sure you join the Discord server because you influence the type of content that I react to on my streams. You almost basically get to control what the content is, because if you are sending in things into the React Request channel on the Discord server, you are setting the dictates for what the subjects and topics and stuff are going to be for my channels. So go ahead and join the stream. So go ahead and join the Discord server if you want to be a part of the content and you want to shape what it is that we discuss here. The URL is, of course, dscrd.mtwbs.cc is the place you want to be if you want to chat with me. It's also right here on the screen. Yeah, also you'll have the opportunity to hop into the chat and chat with me, depending on what I have going on. If stuff is chill, if I don't have too much planned, you can hop on and we can just talk about whatever. That's actually kind of how the conversation about this got started, was because I was playing on the Bro SMP. The bros were not available to stream at the time, but I really wanted to go in the world. It had been down for weeks, so I hopped on the SMP and I chatted with official Mike for a couple of hours. I don't know if I'll turn that into a segment or not, but that is kind of how that all came to pass. And here we have the screenshots that he sent, which this is pretty big. I wonder if this is in creative or not. So he sent this. Can I hit right and left? No, I can't. But yeah, so he sent this. Then he sent this. Okay, here we go. Now we've got the arrows. Whoa, that is a lot. Wait, are those words too? Hold on, what does that say? Liai? I can't read that, but that scale is impressive. Now, he was saying that he spent a lot of time in this world, and that's definitely tracking. It's got glowstone. This is neat, and it's interesting how everything is connected. I wonder if he's got like pathways that go from building to building. Oh, wait, dude, he's got a skyscraper? Yo. Skyscrapers are one of my favorite types of buildings. I just find them fascinating. And so that's why, in the Bros MP, I've made a skyscraper. It is really cool that he's made a skyscraper as well. Yeah, let's see, what's this? This is a massive building. I would like to see him just like go through all of these buildings because it looks like there's so much here. He's got villagers too. Yeah, it looks like he's got like villager spawners maybe down there. Is this like a stadium or something? That's pretty cool. It'd be really practical too if you use like steps. But that's really neat. That's really neat. I wish I wish he had video. He should like record a video, even make it unlisted and send it into the Discord server, because I'd like to see a little bit more kind of what this world has to offer. But that's actually pretty neat. I kind of dig that. I kind of dig it. But yeah, so also with some unserious news. Not everything I talk about has to be serious. I did actually want to react to all of the stuff that Marvel has been announcing lately, because they've really been like dropping like a lot of stuff. Like all of a sudden it's just like, oh, announcement. You had Hall H. Now we got D23. We got 2 Avengers Doomsday trailers out now. And I actually hadn't had a chance to actually go through and read every single thing that they put out. They put out these press releases / news blogs, and they kind of give a detailed summary of everything that they've announced. And so sometimes you'll just skim through something and miss it. So I want to make sure that I didn't miss any of the information. First of all, I'm going to go through everything that they announced at Hall H. They did make this short sizzle reel, so I do want to react to this before we actually dive into the meaty, juicy details that they included in their official article.
It's good to be back here.
Just because the lights go out does not mean it's a sign.
This is a character I've wanted to play for a very long time. Director Sean Levy. December.
Now, this is interesting. I may go into this later, but let's just say that Disney is making Ryan Gosling a very busy man. I have some interesting thoughts about that.
Talking about movies that are coming out in the future, right?
Oh yeah, now this is relatively old clip. I already saw A Brand New Day.
That's what we're doing here.
Nice.
But without further delay, Robert Downey.
Wait, who?
But without further delay,
Oh, okay.
Robert Downey Jr.
Who's this guy with the swords and stuff?
His first question is for Mr. Paul Rudd. Where is Thor, and why was he crying?
Let's go. Okay, so that's one thing. I really have been wanting Marvel to pay off the whole like Thor crying thing in Deadpool and Wolverine, just because it'd be really fun for continuity's sake to kind of pay that off, and also give Deadpool some involvement. I don't know what role he'll have in Avengers Doomsday, but just seeing Deadpool in an Avengers film is just going to be so much fun. And it's been unconfirmed whether or not Deadpool is going to be inside of Avengers Doomsday, but I really do think that Daredevil's going to be in that movie. He was included here in Hall H. He and Hugh Jackman also recorded a video and posted it online, basically begging Kevin Feige to be allowed to be in the movie. So I really do think that's all part of the rollout, and Deadpool will be in this film.
And like Kevin likes to say, there is one more thing. I want you guys to give a warm welcome to our new Black Panther, Mr. David Johnson.
Now, David Johnson's an interesting choice.
Thank you to this amazing family that I have the honor and the privilege and the blessing to join.
I have two thoughts about this. First of all, it's an interesting choice. He's a great actor, but a lot of people were saying, you know, hey, why don't we get the guy who was in F1? He was a great actor, and I think that he's actually closer to the age of young T'Challa in the MCU. Hold on, let me see. What's his name? I literally forget his name. Damien something, or was that the character that he played? Damson Idris. Yeah, this dude. Damson Idris. So a lot of people are like, oh, Damson Idris should have played the character. Now, some people have also speculated that he is being saved for Miles Morales. So I think that if they're saving him for Miles Morales, extremely fair. Although, frankly, I do think that Miles Morales should be a younger actor than even Damson Idris. But I will say that even though David Johnson might not be people's, you know, number one or first choice, I do think he's probably going to do a really good job. I've seen him in a couple things. I saw him in Industry, which is not necessarily a show I would recommend. I started it because I was at a particular point in my life, essentially, and you know, I am finishing it just because I'm a completionist like that. But I saw him in Industry. He was very good in Industry. I also saw him in what was it? Alien Romulus. He was very good in Alien Romulus. I will say that Black Panther is a little bit of a different role, but I also have a little bit of I feel a little bit conflicted about him becoming Black Panther so soon when, first of all, young T'Challa is a kid. As far as we know at this point in the MCU. But second of all, Shuri recently became Black Panther, just in Black Panther 2. And I think that we should give her a little bit more screen time as Black Panther. Yes, I know that she'll be in 2 Avengers movies, but it'd be nice to see a Black Panther movie with Shuri as Black Panther and just about her just doing her Black Panther stuff. Like Black Panther 2 was, yes, a little bit about that, but it was also about her dealing with the death of T'Challa, and like there were like these other things that were involved that kind of kept it feeling like it was truly her film, which is kind of a shame. Of course, Shuri will always be a driving force in the Black Panther franchise, but I would have liked to see her hold the Black Panther mantle just a little bit longer, All right, so that's all of the footage from the sizzle reel that they released, but they made a full article about this. So let's break this down. All the Marvel Studios news from Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con 2026. See all the MCU reveals from Marvel's blockbuster SDCC panel, including Avengers Doomsday, a new Ghost Rider film, and a third Black Panther movie. Marvel Studios returned to Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con 2026, unveiling a thrilling lineup of new films and exclusive reveals. Marvel Studios producer and president Kevin Feige kicked off the presentation, treating the audience to an exclusive look at the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, from the star-studded Avengers Doomsday to exciting, newly announced projects, including a Ghost Rider film with Ryan Gosling and a third Black Panther film from director Ryan Coogler. I will say with the Ryan Gosling thing, the thing that makes that interesting is that Ryan Gosling is also helming the next Star Wars film. So Disney's keeping this guy busy. And I'll also say this, Ryan Gosling has played a similar type of character in a lot of different films. But I feel like especially more so for Marvel, but also a little bit more for Star Wars as well, his vibe and type of character and the way that he acts doesn't super line up with like what exactly you would expect from a character in the MCU or a character from Star Wars. Like I feel like he is going to sort of feel out of place, and with him also be the protagonist in a Ghost Rider film, it's just gonna feel like the Ryan Gosling show. I feel like, I hope it doesn't, because seeing him not be kind of just like doing the Ryan Gosling show does make for some great acting. He is a great actor. There's a reason why he is where he is. But I do hope that they don't lean too much into, oh look, it's Ryan Gosling, isn't it cool, we gave him a lightsaber, you know, kind of like Like, I would love to see in the Ghost Rider film, they treat Ryan Gosling a bit more like they're treating Tom Cruise in the upcoming film Digger, where it's like, yes, you do have this actor, but he is playing a really different role than what he usually plays. Now, I will say this, we do have proof, we have solid proof that Marvel knows how to do this, because with the clips that we've seen of Robert Downey Jr. playing Doom, he is playing a dramatically different, he's acting dramatically differently than how he's acted not only in Avengers, in other MCU projects, Iron Man, but also I would say in other stuff, like, for example, in Oppenheimer. This is a radically different performance that we're seeing in Avengers Doomsday than we've seen in any of his other stuff. So if anyone is going to allow an actor to have a little bit more range, I think especially now when we are kind of in still a bit of the superhero fatigue waters, I think that is sort of fading now. People are starting to realize, hey, we don't have superhero fatigue. What we have is fatigue of bad movies. Superman did really well. Spider-Man did really well. So, I do think that we although despite all of that, we are still in the era of, let's try this, let's try that, let's see what sticks, let's try something different. Like, we had Thunderbolts, which is a relatively dark movie. We had Fantastic Four First Steps, which had a very different tone than any of the other MCU films. So, all of that to say, I do think that Disney has the chance and the ability to not allow this to be the Ryan Gosling show. It's really up to them about what they decide to do. I just hope that they make the right decision there. Third Black Panther film from director Ryan Coogler. I did already speak about that. I do hope that, maybe they let Ryan Coogler do some, maybe more visually creative things with the Black Panther franchise, especially coming off the heels of Sinners. I would love him to be able to, for example, shoot an entire Black Panther film on film. Like, that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, we'll see what they let him do with that. Regardless, he's pretty good at writing his stuff. Black Panther 1 was good. Black Panther 2 was good. So I regardless of whether or not they allow him to, maybe use a more unique style for the visuals and cinematography, at the end of the day, Ryan Coogler is going to be doing his Ryan Coogler thing, making a great Black Panther movie. Today, we're mainly going to talk about movies. Feige told the crowd, we're mainly going to talk about movies because that is what brings us together in the world. Here we break down all the biggest moments from Marvel's explosive Hall H panel. Avengers Endgame Encore. Welcome back to the Endgame. Before Avengers Doomsday hits theaters in December, fans can revisit the record-breaking Avengers Endgame, which will be returning to theaters beginning September 25th. On stage, in Hall H, Feige announced that this exclusive re-release will feature brand new footage setting the stage for what's to come in Doomsday. 2019 was a very long time ago, Feige told the crowd. The world's a different place, reminding all of us what it was like to be in that theater, cheering along and enjoying that crazy enthusiasm is why we're re-releasing Avengers Endgame in September 2025. I think there are a couple interesting things with this. Well, yeah, there are a couple interesting things with this. First of all, it says it's including new footage. Now, we don't know if this is going to be brand new footage that they shot or just footage that was not originally included in Avengers Endgame. There are some scenes that were removed from Avengers Endgame, or like they were cut before they were finished editing. So you've got like these like raw looking sequences floating around online on like YouTube and stuff. And I do wonder if they're going to take those and incorporate them into the film. However, I do think that this does actually signal some trepidation from Marvel, from Disney, about how they think Avengers Doomsday is going to perform. Because here's the thing. If Marvel was really confident in Avengers Doomsday doing well, I don't think they would be doing Avengers Endgame Encore. I think Avengers Endgame Encore is going to be used to soften the blow of Avengers Doomsday bombing at the box office, if that indeed is going to happen. And it's a really smart strategy, actually, because Marvel, DC, whatever you want to refer to them as, they get one more movie to put into theaters that's probably going to sell a bunch of tickets, but they don't have to pay very much for marketing. They don't have to pay anything for production costs because they've already made the film. Maybe you have to pay some editors, but that's pretty much it. But you still get to make the same amount of money as you would if you were releasing a new movie. So this movie can get released and even like make like bomb movies. Even make bomb money by Marvel standards. So like, for example, it could go out and make like 250 million dollars and still be a win, because let's say Avengers Doomsday flops, but it still makes a lot of money, but it is short of how much they budgeted and spent on the film. Well, hey, you've got an extra $250 million to make up that difference. So let's say you even fall like $100 million short of what you spent to make the movie in revenue for Avengers Doomsday. Well, you've got Avengers Endgame Encore to buoy that up. So this is actually kind of smart, but I do think it signals that Marvel actually doesn't have the faith in Avengers Doomsday that they're projecting, as if we didn't already know that. I mean, they're casting Robert Downey Jr. as Doom in Avengers Doomsday. But on that note, I do think it's interesting that they casted Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, hyped that decision up, but then haven't included any footage of his face in Avengers Doomsday. I do think it'd be really cool if they actually didn't show his face. His performance is different enough that if you told me, oh, that's Robert Downey Jr., I wouldn't have known that was him underneath that mask. I do think that they will probably show his face in the film, but I do think it'd also be really cool if they didn't, because it would also kind of, first of all, back their statement where it's like, oh, we're not picking him for nostalgia reasons, we're picking him because he's the best actor for the role. And apparently he had already been in talks in like several years prior to potentially play Dr. Doom in a Marvel role, but that didn't end up working out, and he ended up playing Iron Man. But yeah, I think that would really play into that narrative and strengthen their statement there. Also, you using his name to get people into the seats, once they've already bought the tickets, it's already done its job. So they don't even have to show his face in order for the hype to still be there. Sure, there are probably going to be people who are like, oh, I want to see Steve Rogers, see Robert Downey Jr.'s face. But at the end of the day, once you're there in the middle of the movie watching and be like, oh, I wonder if they're going to meet, you've already given Marvel what they wanted. You've already paid for the ticket. So they actually don't need to show his face. I think they will, but they don't need to show his face. And then we got Ghost Rider. I've already talked about what I think about Ryan Gosling playing Ghost Rider here. I don't have any strong feelings about the Ghost Rider character because, I missed that whole saga in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So yeah, I don't have any thoughts about Ghost Rider at all. In a surprise announcement, Marvel Studios revealed that a new Ghost Rider film is in the works, starring Ryan Gosling. Deadpool Wolverine filmmaker Sean Levy will direct, with the film hitting theaters in 2028. We spent a lot of time last year making Star Wars Starfighter, Levy told the crowd, and as Ryan started talking about his vision for this character, we started riffing, and I said, bro, let's ride. So we'll see you in 2028. That's like the strangest and not strange, but it's like the most casual, almost dismissive description of how this film came together. Kind of interesting. I will say, I would have rather seen Shang-Chi 2 announced than this, but I'm sure that this will be good too. But man, we need Shang-Chi. We need another Shang-Chi movie. That was a good movie and it deserved a sequel. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Everyone's favorite friendly neighborhood hero will soon be swinging into theaters, with Spider-Man Brand New Day opening July 31st. To celebrate, star John Bernthal stopped by Hall H to tease an exclusive look at the film, showcasing the relationship between his Punisher and Tom Holland's Spider-Man as they face off against the Hulk, Mark Ruffalo. Avengers Doomsday. Doomsday is coming with cast. Why is this blank? I don't know why this is blank. Hold on. Oh, there's a frame here. Weird. Doomsday is coming. The cast and filmmakers behind the upcoming Avengers Doomsday in theaters December 18th took the stage in Hall H, where they treated fans to an exclusive new look at the film in a free giveaway poster. Directors Joe and Anthony Russo were joined by many of the film stars who appeared in the back of the hall on specialized stages, one emblazoned with an X and the other with an Avenger symbol. Among the cast were Rebecca Rummidgen, I don't know how to say it, Kelsey Grammer, James Marsden, Louis Pullman, Tenoch Huerta, David Harbour, Hannah John Kamen, Letitia Wright, Winston Duke, Simu Liu, Danny Ramirez, Anthony Mackie, Paul Rudd, Pedro Pascal, Haley Atwell. I know that Haley Atwell's going to be in this. Oh wait, was she in that Captain America or Steve Rogers teaser? I don't know. Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., all of whom united to take a massive selfie with the crowd. Attendees in the hall also received a Doom mask and cape, which they donned as Downey took the microphone, and the entire hall turned green. It's not easy being green, Downey told the crowd. I need a lot of help. I need this whole family around me to assist me in being an archenemy, which is daunting. The actor also reflected on Marvel Studios' Hall H panel for 2024 when his casting was first announced. When y'all had faith in me 2 years ago, you lifted me up, and I think we made something real special, he continued. But decisions will have to be made. Perhaps you're on the side of the good guys, or perhaps you'll have to consider the alternative. Interesting. So that's also a hint that, you know, maybe this character is a little bit morally gray, or at least has an altruistic or ostensibly altruistic reason for his decision making. Kind of like with Thanos. In a surprise appearance, a bluish gray Deadpool then popped up in the audience, revealed to be actor Ryan Reynolds' costume. He then peppered the cast with questions before implying he'd like to play a role in the film. Yeah, him begging to be in the film. Actually, it'd be really fun fourth wall break if eventually there's some sort of teaser put out where Deadpool's like, oh, you know, I'll be in the MC. Can hey Kevin Feige, please let me in Avengers Doomsday. I'll only say the F word once, and then like Kevin Feige steps out of a corner and says, okay, dude, and then like it's revealed that he is going to be in the movie. But I also think it'd be fun to just like leave some things unannounced and just let people discover that they'll be there. Like I don't know, Matt Damon as Daredevil popping up out of nowhere, or Charlie Cox as Daredevil popping up out of nowhere, would just be fun surprises to save for this film. We've got some cool pictures here as well. New Black Panther film. Ryan Coogler was returning to Wakanda. The acclaimed director took the Hall H stage to announce that he will return the Marvel Cinematic Universe to direct a third Black Panther film, joined by Letitia Wright and Winston Duke. Coogler announced that David Johnson, the Long Walk alien Romulus, will be the new Black Panther in the upcoming film. He'll play the son of T'Challa, the late Chadwick Boseman, and the new film will follow his character as he grows up and comes of age. Johnson then stepped out to a standing ovation from the crowd. I want to say thank you so much. He told the audience, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you to this amazing family that I have the honor and privilege and the blessing to join. I actually don't want to say too much because I want to let the screen do the talking, but believe me, the honor is entirely mine. Yeah, again, interesting. I do think that he looks a little bit old for the role, but I think that he might be able to pull it off. I think that part of it is just like he's big and muscular. Most youths are not quite as muscular as him. He is quite built, but yeah, we'll see. Especially if they're like time jumps where like jumps into the future, shows his coming of age, and then he's an adult in the future. That would make a lot of sense, and I'd be glad that he kind of has that physicality for actually being Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman didn't necessarily have all of that. He did have some muscles, but he wasn't nearly as muscular, from what I can see, as David Johnson. So. But now we do have, now Marvel didn't release a video for D23, but here is a summary of everything that Marvel announced at D23.
The Marvel panel at D23 did not disappoint. Let's cover the major announcements, starting with what everyone was hoping we'd get, which was an X-Men casting announcement. We already knew that Sadie Sink is Jean Grey and Kit Connor is Cyclops, but it was announced that Maya Boyd, who's relatively unknown at this point, will play Storm. Christopher Abbott will be our new Professor X. Indy Navarrete is officially confirmed as Rogue, and Adam Driver will be playing Mr. Sinister. Still no word on castings for characters like Beast, Mystique, or Magneto yet, but these castings have me more hyped for this movie than I already was.
I will say that these are probably some of my favorite casting announcements that I've seen. Now, part of me, I've seen Obsession. I really liked Obsession. I really liked Indy Navarrete's performance. There is a part of me that does kind of feel like this is kind of, you know, Disney finding a an undiscovered, well, I don't know what the best way to put this is, but it does sound like they're taking like a burgeoning talent and sort of like putting her in a gilded cage. I know this sounds like fatalistic when I'm describing it like this, but it truly does sound like you're taking an actor or actress who potentially could have done a wide range of very interesting projects before getting into something that ostensibly might have a bit of more of a corporate cookie cutter feel. I do know that Jake Schreier is directing this film, but still, at the end of the day, it is Marvel, so it's not really gonna necessarily break the conventions of what you would expect from a Marvel movie too much. Part of me does wish that, you know, instead of her being in this, we would be seeing her in like an A24 film or a Neon film or a movie film or something, you know, even like a Searchlight Pictures film, which is also owned by Disney, but just something with a little bit more of like an indie flair, something of a smaller scale, something that's not as corporate. But at the end of the day, you know, she's a great actress, and I also know for a fact that she's gonna absolutely kill it in this role. So, you know, to a certain extent, I can't be too unhappy about this. I can't complain about this too much because I do think that she's going to, you know, be great. Also, I do like how about half of these people are not like the biggest names in the world. Like, yes, probably know who most of these people are, but they're not like the hugest names. Adam Driver being in this film is like really interesting. But I really do like how they're leaning into like, oh, you know, we've got a lot of actors here who are not as well known. It almost actually kind of reminds me of what Marvel did with the formation of the Avengers, because if you look at a lot of the actors and actresses from the Avengers, they were not the most well known. Like, yes, Samuel L. Jackson was a very famous actor, but it was almost like he was sort of like the main celebrity name used to be like, oh, hey, look, we've got Samuel L. Jackson. Don't you want to see Samuel L. Jackson in a Marvel movie? I think that's a big reason why he was added to that cast. But a lot of those actors were not like the biggest names in the world. Like Chris Evans was not the household name that he is today. Marvel turned him into that. So it is really cool to see Marvel kind of try and do that.
Especially with the arrival of Indy Navarrete, who might be the most popular actress on the planet right now outside of Anne Hathaway, as well as Adam Driver, who I am so pumped to see as a villain again. Then we got the first trailer for Vision Quest, and oh my gosh, when I tell you that this immediately looks like an S-tier Marvel show. It has all the mysterious and wacky vibes of WandaVision and then some. Visually, it looks unbelievable, and best of all, we're getting James Spader back as Ultron in both his robot and human forms, and it looks...
I will say that I watched the teaser. I will agree that yes, visually it does look stunning, but it looks a little dumb to me. It's like human avatars only. Like, why? Now, maybe there's a lot of explanation that's just not in the trailer, but it just seems a little dumb to me.
Looks like we're getting a lot of him in this series. Then finally, we got the newest trailer for Avengers Doomsday. And if you were underwhelmed by the first trailer, this will fix that. This was the trailer everyone couldn't stop talking about after San Diego Comic-Con, and it's easy to see why. Because this heavily focuses on Doom, and my gosh, it looks so freaking good. But I'm curious to hear from you guys, which reveal from the Marvel panel at D23 has you most excited? Let me know. The Marvel panel...
So, it is interesting that this was the Comic-Con trailer. Marvel didn't used to release the Comic-Con trailers. It used to be exclusives. I remember back when I think it was the Infinity War Comic-Con trailer leaked online. I thought it was really cool, and I was waiting for Marvel to release an official version of it so I could watch it in 4K, high quality. They never did. But they've started to change that. You know, I believe that both the Ironheart and the Thunderbolts Comic-Con trailers were the same as what they showed there. That was also released online when they did the official YouTube release, and they put it out in theaters. So, you know, it's not as surprising as it would have been in years past that the Avengers Doomsday trailer that they released most recently was also the Comic-Con trailer. But now let's dive into, dang it, hold on. Let me pull that article back up. My keyboard my mouse has an issue that makes it double click when I do a normal standard click sometimes, so that's kind of what happened there. Let's see. All right, yeah. So here we have this here. This also covers the news that they announced from D23. all the Marvel news from D23 2026. Go behind the scenes of all the biggest Marvel reveals, including a new X-Men cast, a new Vision Quest trailer, a special look at Avengers Doomsday, and more. Marvel is bringing big news to D23, the ultimate Disney fan event. All week long, Marvel fans and creators are taking over D23 in Anaheim, California to celebrate the best in Marvel movies, TV shows, games, and comics. Marvel kicked off the weekend with Friday's blockbuster Disney Entertainment Showcase, where Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige took the stage to unveil new details about the studio's upcoming slate, including the new cast of the upcoming X-Men movie, and exclusive looks at Vision Quest, Avengers Doomsday, and more. Here we break down all the biggest reveals from D23 2026, and stay tuned throughout the weekend for all the breaking news and updates. X-Men. To me, my X-Men. During Friday's showcase presentation at the Honda Center, Feige shared the first details about Marvel Studios' upcoming X-Men movie, directed by Thunderbolts filmmaker Jake Schreier. Schreier was joined on stage by Sadie Sink, who made her debut as Jean Grey in the just-released Spider-Man Brand New Day and will appear in the new film. The pair then welcomed their new cast to the stage: Kit Connor as Scott Summers, Christopher Abbott as Professor Charles Xavier, Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, Indiana Veretti as Rogue, and Maya Boyd as Storm. I do wonder if they have recorded anything for this year. I wonder if they started filming yet. One final cast member then appeared in a surprise video message to fans. Adam Driver revealed he will be playing Nathaniel Milbury. I don't know anything about Nathaniel Milbury, which is also fun. It is nice to kind of have a villain and not really know too much about him. The untitled X-Men movie will hit theaters May 5th, 2028. And then here we've got Avengers Doomsday. Doomsday is coming. The stars of Avengers Doomsday, in theaters December 18, took the stage to reveal a special look at the upcoming film, teasing the impending showdown between Dr. Doom, Robert Downey Jr., and a multiverse worth of heroes. Downey was joined on stage by fellow MCU veterans Chris Evans and Haley Atwell, who will be returning in the film as Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter. Wait, did they get married at the end of Endgame? So wouldn't it be Steve Rogers and Peggy Rogers? Anyways, Vision Quest. Vision Quest stars Paul Bettany and James Spader revealed the first trailer and poster for the upcoming Marvel television series, which will debut October 14 on Disney+. The series follows a rebooted Vision as his official name is White Vision, as he searches for a new meaning, consulting with the AI personas embedded in his programming, including Spader's Ultron, and crossing paths with a mysterious boy named Thomas Shepard. This one, I don't know. It doesn't really feel like that's necessary or imperative. Like, do I need to know like what is going on with White Vision? I mean, I wouldn't mind him floating into an Avengers film and being like, oh, I was getting a sandwich from Subway, and then like, you know, continuing on with business as usual. I don't know if we needed like a full-on Vision Quest series. And I will say that the Vision Quest trailer was sparse enough on details that, you know, I didn't really find it that interesting. Like, you've got him basically fighting Ultron in his mind. You know, not particularly interesting. I do like the concept of Ultron, you know, potentially being out there in the wild because, you know, in Age of Ultron, they did say, oh, Ultron, we trapped Ultron in his body, but we don't know for sure that there aren't other copies of Ultron lying around, technically. So if Ultron could be revived as a villain, that'd be kind of interesting. But beyond that, there isn't really much here that I find particularly interesting or enthralling. And we got Marvel's Wolverine, which, like, I don't care very much about the games or the parks or anything. So skipping through a lot of this, I don't think that much of this other stuff is going to interest me that much. But yeah, I think that was certainly a stacked announcement list. One thing I really do like as well is that they are not bloating things up. Now, yes, I would like to see more stuff from the Defenders corner of the MCU, but barring a lack of, you know, Defenders related announcements, I'm really happy with what we see here. only one, or like, what is it? One or two new, what is it? One or two? Got Ghost Rider, got X-Men. Yeah. Other than the new Avengers movies, we got like what? Like two? Oh, Black Panther 3. So 3 new movies being released over the course of the next 2 years that are not Avengers movies. I think that that's fair. I would like eventually to see just a normal Avengers movie. Like, it's a shame that we're about to have like the 5th Avengers movie coming out, and only 2 of the 5 Avengers movies are actually like normal Avengers movies. I would like to see, a more scaled down level threats for the Avengers. Frankly, I'd like to see like a breakout type storyline where like, oh, all the villains have escaped from the raft, we gotta collect them all, and then kind of having that spiral into the other movies where it's like, oh, you've got this superhero who's interacting with a villain he's never interacted before, even in the comics. Like, that'd be kind of interesting, I think. But that's just me. I don't make the decisions there. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think of all these announcements, because there's a lot to talk about, there's a lot to discuss. So yeah, have at it. All right, I wanted to react to this video here. This is from Washington Gun Law. It's called The Morning After: What We Know, What We Don't Know. And I did hear a little bit about this. Essentially, the government is going to have less power to regulate weapons, which I think is great. I think that, the United States of America really does not abide by the spirit, if not the letter, of the Second Amendment. So I'd like to see, first of all, of course, more details about this, but also to see what the ramifications of this are going to be.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. It is almost 7 p.m. on Thursday, August the 13th. You will be watching this sometime on Friday, August 14th, technically a day and a half after, well, the world apparently changed. And we do need to talk about things as they become more and more clarified. What we're going to do today is focus on what we know for certain, and that list is kind of short, and we're going to focus on all of the things we're uncertain of and why we may want to approach them with caution. So today, as we again talk about the NFA or what's left of it, let's spend a few minutes and talk about the morning after. What we know, what we don't know. Okay, America, we are still talking about what on God's green earth is going to happen with us, and as it relates to NFA items, in particular the untaxed items, in light of the fact that the ruling in Silencer Shop Foundation versus ATF is going to be, in fact, the law of that court. And what is it?
I did hear that part of the ramifications of this will be that it'll be a lot easier, if not ubiquitously possible, for people to just buy silencers on weapons, because I was listening to Tim Cast IRL and Temple was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go put some silencers on my pistols now. So that'd be cool, because silencers are great. They're some of the most needlessly regulated pieces of gun equipment, because essentially they don't even make it impossible to hear the guns. All they do basically is protect the ears of the person shooting the weapon. So yeah, I am glad to see silencers easier to obtain, if that's indeed correct and I'm not mistaken in my position or impression of what this legislation is doing.
Does it mean for all of us moving forward?
Impression of what this ruling is doing.
Going to be, in fact, the law of that court. And what?
And also, guys, I am listening to your critiques. I am muting the microphone while I eat these plain tortilla chips. Last time I ate on stream, y'all tore me apart. So
what does it mean for all of us moving forward? We're going to talk about several things that we absolutely do know. We're going to talk about several things that we don't know. And we're also going to talk about a request for clarification, which I think would solve a lot of those on the we don't know list. And then we're going to drop a few hints about a few other areas that we haven't even begun to talk about that's going to open a whole new Pandora's box of uncertainty. All right, here's what we know for certain. The untaxed items, which were regulated under 26 United States Code in the Internal Revenue Code are no longer going to be regulated by 26 United States Code. Why? Because they exceed Congress's taxation powers and no longer belong in that statutory scheme. However, since all of these items are also considered firearms, including suppressors under federal law, the Gun Control Act of 1968 absolutely positively continues to apply. And in this challenge, as well as that in Brown versus ATF, where we are awaiting a ruling on a summary judgment motion, at no point is the constitutionality of the Gun Control Act in play. So if all of the requirements that were placed upon NFA registration comes from Title 26, what's been eliminated? The following: fingerprinting, passport photos, long approval wait times, co-possession issues, and interstate transport.
That sounds good to me.
And of course, the last one was going to be remedied to a large degree by new ATF rules that have already been published and open for comments. But now, since these items theoretically would no longer be NFA items, I will call them 4473 items at this point, then all of the restrictions that come with both obtaining and possessing and transporting an NFA item would also go away.
For those of you who are a bit confused by what he's saying there, different items are classified under different codes by U.S. law, and there are blanket restrictions. So, like, let's just say, for example, that the federal government had a classification of assault rifle, and it basically said, if you have an assault rifle, you're not allowed to have it in your home if you also have a child in the home. Let's just say, for example, that was a piece of legislation. Things like this would, when you have rulings like this that say, oh, this isn't allowed to be inside of this classification, or that isn't allowed to be inside of that classification, what it essentially does is it says, oh, you know, let's say a shotgun, it used to be a 12-gauge shotgun, used to be considered an assault rifle, no longer is considered an assault rifle. And then what would happen is, okay, all the regulations that apply to assault rifles no longer apply to that gun.
So that's what it's done away with. What it has not done away with, for sure, is the Gun Control Act of 1968, the need to do background checks, and the applicability of state laws. And then in addition to that, while the pathway for suppressors in most jurisdictions seems relatively easy to navigate, it gets a little more complicated with SBRs and SBSs due to 18 United States Code Section 922B4, which makes it unlawful to transfer a short barrel rifle or short barrel shotgun to any destructive device, machine gun as defined in the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, short barrel shotgun or short barreled rifle, except as specifically authorized by the Attorney General, consistent with public safety and necessity. And it was the approval of a Form 4 that serves as the authorization from the Attorney General. But theoretically, that transaction will not occur, well, in many jurisdictions, because now we're going to have to get to the application of state law on top of it. And this map from Silencer Shop has been absolutely terrific to help understand it. Now, they have 3 categories. I'm going to rename the categories here. There is this group known as the Hallelujah group, okay? And that means that everything has changed significantly because the only thing that was holding this up was federal regulations. Then there is the other group, this group over here, which is known as, yeah, this is good, which means things potentially could get easier, but not necessarily easy. And then there's this group, which is, yeah, big deal, because it doesn't matter. None of this matters. Most of them probably aren't even watching the video because it will just make them more and more pissed off. And do they have massive problems? Yeah, they do. The #1 issue being the state that they're currently living in. And here's what you need to do if you are in one of these, yeah, this is cool states, okay? That middle ground where there is still a possibility that this streamlines the process for you, but there's going to be state laws that could get in the way. And the example I've been using, and it's an excellent example, is 2 separate statutes in Washington state. 941-190 talks about how we can lawfully possess short barrel rifles in the state of Washington, and it requires that they be possessed merely in compliance compliance with federal law. However, 941-250 talks about how we can lawfully possess suppressors in the state of Washington, and it requires that they both be registered as well as possessed in compliance with federal law. Now, if you have obtained any NFA item lawfully, that is through an FFL with approval by ATF, you are absolutely lawfully in possession of it according to federal law. But does this word registered create issues, especially in states such as Washington State, that are hell-bent on disarming their civilians? And so what you need to do is you need to carefully check the statutes of your state to see what kind of NFA compliance, what kind of federal law compliance is required for you to be in lawful possession and to be able to lawfully use these items inside your state. Then that begs this question: is the ATF going to allow Form 4 registrations for those that live in these states right here, so that compliance with whatever the NFA requires at that particular time is still doable, so that they are in compliance with the letter of state law? Now, the law firm of Cooper and Kirk, who is having a fantastic week, by the way, congratulations everyone over there, has drafted a letter to the United States Department of Justice saying, hey, listen, we need a lot of clarification. We need clarification on, well, who does this injunction apply to? What items does it apply to? Where is this going? And what are you going to do about a whole lot of things? Their requests include the following clarifications. 1, will the government be providing guidance to regulated entities and individuals on how it plans to ensure compliance with the injunction? And this is perhaps the most important thing. The IOIs, ATF IOIs that work directly with the FFLs, they need to be given some guidance so that they can give that to the FFLs. I have talked to gun stores all around the country, and everyone's just waiting on pins and needles because they don't know exactly what next to do. 2,
It does sound like a lot of clarification is going to be needed, because other than, whether or not it's easier to, other than removing restrictions on suppressors in states that don't have any restrictions on suppressors, it doesn't really sound super clear, what this legislation is going to do, even though the ruling itself does seem a bit broader in terms of things other than merely silencers.
If the government will be providing guidance, what form will it take and when will it be provided? And that's an excellent question. Is it just going to be a big web page? Is it going to be an email out to FFLs? Is it going to be a formal rulemaking order that's going to be run through the APA? And does it qualify for perhaps an emergency rulemaking order? 3, does the government intend to continue enforcing the enjoined provisions of the NFA against entities or individuals who are not covered by the injunction? Put more simply, is there a segment of Americans that are going to live one way while the rest of the country lives another way and has an entirely different relationship with the NFA outside of what state law is dictating? And that is a big thing, because again, we got to go back to Trump v. Casa. The ability of a district court to issue nationwide injunctions does not exist, neither constitutionally or through statutory authority, and now through Supreme Court case law. 4, if so, what will the government do to ensure that it does not seek to enforce the enjoined provisions of the NFA against entities and individuals across the country who are covered by the injunction? And this gets into, and we've seen this before.
Doesn't that seem like simple though? Like you would fight that in the courts, and then you'd get a ruling that would set a precedent that other states would be afraid to violate.
Saw this with the FRT litigation and some of the other things, is that now is DOJ going to demand membership lists? Because I can tell you what GOA and FPC and Second Amendment Foundation, all that, are going to say to DOJ if they want members lists. They're going to tell them to pound sand. And that goes for all of the other things, FRAC and all the other groups, the American Suppressor Association, everybody that's involved in this, okay? So how exactly are we going to do this? 5, if the injunction is later stayed, modified, dissolved, or otherwise made ineffective, how will the government treat NFA items made or transferred while the injunction was in effect? This is like California Freedom Week with the magazines, but on steroids, okay? Because think about how many NFA items are going to be transferred over the next few weeks outside the confines of the NFA. And if somehow or another this was undone by some mechanism, what are we going to do with all of those items? And that really illustrates how much we still do not know as we sit here now, basically a day and a half after learning that the ground was going to shift underneath our feet. But here's a couple of other things. I'm just going to throw them out there right now so that you guys need to start getting your head around this. First of all, we've been talking an awful lot about Form 4s. We haven't been doing any talking about Form 1s. What about a person who's got an AR-15 with a 16-inch barrel, wants to pull that upper off, put a 10.5-inch barrel on? Can they do that without a Form 1? We need a little guidance on that, don't we? Or here's another one. You just got a braced pistol at home. Great, awesome. But now you want to take the brace off and put a stock on. Can you do that? Do you have to Form 1 it? Or, not like this would ever happen, you have a solvent trap at home and you decide you want to turn that into a suppressor. Well, one, good luck with that. But number two, do you have to Form 1 it? So what's going to happen here? What's going to happen with serialization on Form 1 items? You can see that there is literally this...
American weaponry is so regulated. It's kind of, it's almost comedic. It's like you've got the right to keep and bear arms, and then modern lawyers and Congress and legislation are like, well, actually, and then it actually has an asterisk. Like, this is ridiculous.
Vast wilderness of completely unexplored territory that we've never been through in the history of American gun laws. Oh, and then the other thing that nobody's even talking about yet is this: gun trusts. NFA gun trusts, because theoretically the only firearms that can actually go into gun trusts are NFA items. Don't believe me? Look at the difference between a 4473 and a Form 1 or a Form 4. Now, how many suppressors currently in the United States and SBRs, let's just talk about those two categories alone, how many of those are sitting in gun trusts somewhere? Millions and millions of them. And if they are no longer...
Well, typically when you have changes in gun legislation, there's a bit of forgiveness there. You do see some weapons getting grandfathered into legality if they've been banned. If you've been owning some gun for like 10 years, usually it's like a grandfathered weapon. They won't penalize you for having that, even if that gun is now prohibited due to recent legislation. I wouldn't be shocked to see something similar where it's like, okay, existing gun trusts can have these suppressors in them, but you can't add new suppressors to a gun trust. Something like that.
NFA items, then they theoretically and legally speaking can no longer be in a gun trust. So what happens with all these millions of items that are actually registered under the gun trust name? Does ATF have to reverse engineer this back to the individual and then force them into signing a 4473 to create the record of the individual ownership? I mean, this is a Pandora's box of uncertainty. But this I can be certain of. If you live in one of these states right here, where this very well may streamline things, it's just a question to what degree, and it's going to all be based on compliance with the state law. I can assure you that the FFLs in those states right now are taking a very cautious wait-and-see approach, and until they are given any directives by ATF first through their IOI and then consult with local attorneys, you are not likely to see a significant change in the procedure used to obtain one of these items. So America, I hope you begin to understand that as you begin to ask more and more questions, it's really just met with more and more questions. And listen, there's a lot of people out here spewing a lot of information. Some of it is accurate, some of it is conjecture, some of it's hyperbole, and very rarely is it actually cited to a reliable source. So be careful. And if your FFLs are playing it cautious, there is a reason for that. They would rather risk losing one customer than losing their license, and show them some grace. Okay, listen, Washington Gun Law is going to try to take the weekend off, get an actual weekend vacation with Mrs. Gun Law, but inevitably something's going to pop up and we're going to have to do a video. But in the meantime, America, if you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, which today is more than it was yesterday, so let's be grateful for that. You guys should know how to get a hold of Washington Gun Law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, cool. Click on that link right there and tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly monthly newsletter, find out about all the cool stuff they won't let us talk about here, and meet all of our new sponsors. There's a link in the description box for you to do that. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe. Okay, like we mentioned earlier, the video today is sponsored by
Yeah, this is good. Y'all know that I'm a legit, like, actually, like, true conservative Republican. I do lean center, but I'm a lot more conservative than someone like Donald Trump, and I'm very excited to see, you know, fewer restrictions on guns. Unlike Donald Trump, you know, he signed legislation restricting bump stocks. Not a fan of that, but I am a fan of this. But one thing that's really annoying is the fact that it just raises so many more questions. So many more questions. It's not even like, other than suppressors, like clearly this applies to a lot of other different types of guns and gun accessories, but what about those? So many unanswered questions. So I really do hope that they clear things up. And he said that there are likely going to be more rulings on gun legislation to come. So I am going to sit tight, wait for those, and hopefully there'll be even more of our Second Amendment rights left alive after all that. I also wanted to react to this video here. This has been something that's just been on my mind lately, considering the fact that flock cameras are a hot button topic. I've heard people say that flock cameras violate the Constitution, but I've been thinking, you know, how do they violate the Constitution? We've had traffic cameras for at least a couple decades now, if not longer. We have all of these we have all of these surveillance cameras in Walmart parking lots and stuff. So how are flock cameras any different? Well, if anyone's gonna know it, it's gonna be a lawyer in a suit with an expensive watch. So let's go ahead and see what Washington gun law has to say about this. This video is entitled, "What Does the Constitution Say About Flock Cameras?"
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank one of our viewers, Joe B., who was kind enough to actually give us this video idea. Well, here's what I love about it. Normally, I am talking about issues that really only kind of stimulates one side of the political spectrum. I get that. This is an issue that appears to actually have bipartisan support. What am I talking about? I'm talking about our hatred of flock cameras, because it appears that there are a lot of people who are spending a lot of time and some money on power tools to run around and cut down these cameras that are popping up everywhere. There was a great debate here in my...
By the way, this is not constitutional. Do not run around destroying flock cameras. First of all, I think it'd be impossible for you to do that without getting caught. If you've got flock cameras around who have, you know, the type of capabilities that can actually track individuals and you know recognize different things about individuals. Flock actually recently added gait recognition, I believe, to the flock cameras. So even if you mask yourself up, even if you've got a solid mask, it's still going to recognize who you are more likely than not as you're cutting it down. And of course, other than all of that, it's violating the law. And you know, at least me as a Christian, we're called to, be subject to the governing authorities. Some people call me bootlegger for that. That's fine. You know, I'm just a Christian who's trying to follow the Bible to the best of my ability. And part of that is also telling you guys, you know, not to sin, not to violate biblical principles. And so I also feel that it's imperative for me to at least mention and say, hey, don't do this. Don't run around, destroying flock cameras. You can actually, instead of using violent, destructive, or criminal means to oppose flock cameras, you actually have a lot more power than you think you do. So there's been a lot of backlash to flock cameras, to the point where states are actually rescinding, so not states, but some localities are actually rescinding their agreements with flocks to have flock cameras in their localities. And, you know, you don't have to break down the cameras in order to apply that pressure. You have the power to go to council meetings. You can make petitions. You can heckle your congressman or whatever, or governor, mayor, local member of the local legislature. I'm not calling for actual heckling. I don't support harassment, but I'm saying you can protest, express yourself verbally. Don't run around following elected officials, though. That's not cool. But yeah, there are plenty of nonviolent ways you can apply pressure. And the beauty of this all being done down at the local level is that you as an individual have more power over this than you do over most issues. For example, many taxes are applied to you both at the federal level and at the state level. You can't apply as much pressure to a senator as you can to a mayor, because you individually represent a far greater proportion of the local constituency than you would if you were just complaining to your state or if you were complaining to the federal government. Also, it's a lot easier for you to pack up your bags and move counties or towns or cities than it is to move states, especially for people who don't live near the borders of a state. If you live near a border of a state, it's a little bit different. But yeah, there are so many options, so many peaceful options of resisting flock cameras. Please do not resort to violating the law, getting yourself in legal trouble, displeasing God if you're a Christian, when there are so many other things that you can do that might even be more effective.
Down these cameras that are popping up everywhere. There was great debate here in my hometown during World Cup soccer about whether or not they should even be activated, which is why put them up if you're not going to activate them. But it has a lot of people screaming that this is absolutely positively a violation of the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable government searches and seizures. Is that true? We're going to actually try to geek out on that today so that we can all kind of at least understand legally and constitutionally where it all sits right now. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about, what does the Constitution say about flock cameras?
Now, I will say, I did speak to a local government official, and I was like, hey, I've heard rumors. I had a few questions about flock, but one of the questions that I asked was, hey, I've heard rumors that flock cameras are unconstitutional. What's up with that? And this elected official essentially said, the existence of these cameras are not illegal. When you're on public property, you are publicly observable. So it is, about as legal for a flock camera to get a picture of you as it is for a normal traffic camera to get a picture of you, or for a citizen or a member of law enforcement to take a picture of you. So, body cam footage, for example, when you're, body cam footage is a little bit different, but yeah, with when you're in public, you just expose yourself to being photographed. That's just the fact of life, whether it's from the private sector or the public sector. So when you're out in public, flock is getting a picture of you. That's all fine and dandy as far as the law is concerned, as far as federal law is concerned. Now, it's different if you're on private property, especially if you're indoors. So let's say that you're inside cooking some chicken or whatever, and you have the window open. Can a flock camera take a picture of you? Theoretically, maybe it can due to its positioning, but it would be unconstitutional for that footage to be used by law enforcement. So, there is some gray area in there. There are some circumstances in which it's absolutely unconstitutional for flock cameras to be used. That's how it was explained to me. Now, I am interested to see if that sentiment is reflected in this Washington gun law video.
Okay, America, if you spend any time out in social media land like I do, one, I'm sorry that you have to do it, but number two, you will see that there are all sorts of political issues that really only stimulate one side of the spectrum or the other. However, when it comes to the use of flock cameras, there appears to be universal hatred across all political spectrums of what's going on there. Many people are screaming that these, in fact, violate the Constitution, that the flock cameras, standing alone, constitute a violation of the Fourth Amendment's guarantee against unreasonable government searches and seizures. My gut instinct when I heard that argument is, of course it doesn't. It doesn't, because whenever we're trying to figure out whether or not a search or a seizure has actually occurred, what we always want to do is take a look at what is our expectation of privacy. And throughout the years, the courts have consistently, and I mean consistently, whether it's a liberal court or a conservative court, it doesn't really matter. When we are doing things in public, we have zero expectation of privacy because we are doing these activities in the public. So once my gears got turning with Joe's idea, I figured that the research was going to be pretty simple. But then I started looking into it further. And although there is current case law, which suggests that really we do not have an expectation of privacy because these are activities that are occurring in public, it appears that the legal framework is beginning to shift towards privacy rights. The leading case right now on the use of flock cameras is a case that comes out of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Virginia in the matter of Schmidt v. City of Norfolk. There, the court upheld the use of flock cameras, although that decision is now being appealed to a higher court. And the court relied upon the fact that the only thing that flock cameras were apparently recording was license plate numbers, and that the data was only being stored for a maximum of 30 days. And then
now this is something I've also heard, that many flock cameras have been already installed for years and years and years, and they've only been recording license plates. So flock cameras are not necessarily new. Apparently they're just these new cameras, I believe, or software updates that are allowing for greater capabilities of what flock cameras can do beyond just reading license plates.
When you took a look at the physical network of the cameras, they didn't literally have every square inch of the city covered, so they couldn't actually track the movement of an individual. But the problem is since that time of that ruling, the technology on literally a daily basis changes with all types of surveillance. And so now with the integration of AI, we know that these cameras are capable of capturing far more than just license plates, that with the integration of facial recognition technology, which is already in place, they absolutely positively could track the movement of people. All you have to do is add a few more cameras to your network to make sure that every square inch of your city is blanketed. Sure, the parameters only store the data for 30 days right now, but how easily could that be changed? Couple that with the fact that we're seeing all sorts of instances that are reported almost on a daily basis now where law enforcement is using the data collected for all sorts of unlawful and immoral purposes. Understand that this data is being shared across all sorts of agencies in your state, outside your state, and perhaps even internationally. So many are beginning to get concerned that have we crossed the threshold now where it's not so much about the data that's being collected, but what they're capable of doing with all of that data and what they're already doing with that data. Now, there may be hope for future litigation, and that hope comes from a case that was actually ruled upon by the United States Supreme Court just this past term in the matter of Chatrie versus United States. There, law enforcement was using what's called geofencing, which is essentially they were looking for everybody's cell phone data that was in a certain geographical area during a certain period of time, which happened to be contemporaneous with a bank robbery. What the United States Supreme Court, however, ruled, police officers conducted a Fourth Amendment search when they acquired Chatrie's location data from Google because an individual has a reasonable expectation of privacy in his cell phone location information. And that is now opening the door to a whole new slew of legal challenges where the challenge is not so much about the collection of the data, but what they're capable of doing with the data once they have it. These large, shared, searchable databases are essentially creating a nationwide surveillance system. And we're beginning to see a new legal theory to challenge the constitutionality of flock cameras known as the mosaic theory. You see, when we go back and we look at the Norfolk case, one of the big things that the court was hung up on was even though there was 176 cameras inside the city of Norfolk, the network did not allow them to completely track the continuous movement of a person. But the mosaic theory, which is currently kind of one of the themes on the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals challenge now in the Norfolk case, states, aggregating thousands of isolated snapshots across a massive network constructs an invasive, detailed map of an innocent citizen's private life.
And I would agree with that theory.
Earlier this year, at least 3 drivers in California filed suit in federal court against the use of San Jose's flock system, claiming that by feeding images of ordinary travel into an AI-powered searchable database, law enforcement is executing an ongoing unreasonable search of the public at large without any individualized suspicion of criminal activity. The ACLU has filed a similar suit, claiming the current systems employed by government give them an unprecedented mass surveillance powers that upset traditional expectations of privacy. And now we are getting into an area that even the lower court in the Norfolk case acknowledged, which is that it's one of scalability. This is technology. It will always grow. It will always get better. It will always advance. And at some point, does that scalability tip the scale? And that it's not about the data that's being collected, but what can be done with all the data once they have it stored. And even if we are not at that tipping point yet in the eyes of the court, we are absolutely positively going to get there in no time flat. We're going to see the sharing of these databases. We're going to see the intermingling of these databases. We're going to see more and more technology as it relates to tracking integrated into these systems. We're going to see larger and larger storage of data and a quicker and quicker ability to search that data out. And at some point, if we're not there already, it's going to be in the very near future that our entire expectation of privacy, which we have operated on for over 250 years now in the United States, will be radically and forever altered unless the courts step in and do something about it. Okay, so what do you guys all think? If it's all really about the expectation of privacy, is it really just about the data that they're capturing, or is it about what they're capable of doing with the data once they have it? Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. Everything that we talked about in making this video, we're going to go ahead and link up down below so that you can geek out on it for yourself. Now, if you got any questions about this or about the stuff we normally cover here at Washington Gun Law, you should know how to get a hold of us by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video that we should be doing around here, something like Joe came up with, hey, cool. Click on that link right there and tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, find out.
Yeah, I've heard this outro already. But yeah, I did find it interesting, and I do tend to agree that what can be done with the data once it's been discovered or stored or saved is a separate but also equally pressing question. But the problem is, how do you have a check and balance that enforces and makes sure that, these databases are not being misused at all? Because you could say, hey, down to local level, you got to sign off this thing in order to get this, to get the warrant in order to pull up the data. But how do you make sure that even those requirements are not getting abused? Like, I'd be curious about what the enforcement mechanism would be that would even limit local police departments from searching these databases. We already know that some police officers have started to get caught for misusing their access to flock cameras, but that's sort of like a reactive thing. Police departments really need to, regardless of legal precedents, they need to find some sort of system to regulate their own access to it, to limit their own legal liability, and also put the populace at ease. Because if the general population can trust their local law enforcement not to be invading their privacy and to be appropriately using these flock cameras and their footage only when necessary, then there won't be as much backlash. Everyone will be happy. And hey, let's say that there's some good that comes out of these flock cameras, then the community is even a bit safer. But for now, even if some use of these flock cameras are making people a lot safer, it's also causing discord, making people upset. Some people are even moving away from places that have these flock cameras. It's just a mess. So I am hoping that the courts do sort this all out sooner rather than later, especially because every single day we're getting more and more flock cameras posted up online. All right, we've got this article here. This is from The Guardian, written by Jamie Grierson, called Man 28 Charged with Murder of Former MP Anne Widdecombe. Joshua Carey from Rotherham charged over killing a politician whose body was found at her Devon home. A 28-year-old man from Rotherham has been charged with the murder of the former MP and Reform UK Party spokesperson Anne Widdecombe. Joshua Carey was charged with Widdecombe's murder and will appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on Tuesday, the Crown Prosecution Service said. Widdecombe's body was found with serious injuries by the ambulance service at her home in Haytor Vale, Devon at 11:40 a.m. on Thursday, 9 July. Thursday, 9 July? Who writes like that? Gotta be a Brit. Devon and Cornwall police subsequently said that they believed the 78-year-old was attacked the day before 12:30 p.m. Why did I hear about this? Is an old, elderly woman who used to be an elected official in the UK. I feel like it should have been international news. I heard a little bit about it on Tim Pool, Timcast IRL, but even then, not very much coverage of this. Frank Ferguson, the chief Crown prosecutor of the CPS Special Crime and Counterterrorism Division, said, "We have decided to prosecute Joshua Carey for murder following a police investigation into the death of Anne Widdecombe in Haytor, Dartmoor. Police inquiries into the defendant's motives are ongoing, including a potential political or terrorist connection. Our prosecutors have worked closely with the police to establish that there is sufficient evidence to bring this case to court, and we will continue working with them as their investigation progresses. We remind all concerned that proceedings against the defendant are active and he has the right to a fair trial. It is vital that there should be no reporting, commentary, or information which could in any way prejudice these proceedings." Dude, I find UK law to be so aggravating sometimes. Because look, people should be able to say their piece about a story of public interest, of which this is certainly one. You know, a famous person got killed. People should be able to talk about that. And charges were pressed. They threw this guy in jail, or at least they're holding him or whatever. Like, this should be allowed to be spoken about in the UK. But it is vital there should be no reporting, commentary, or sharing of information that could in any way prejudice these proceedings. Look, yes, I understand that you want an unbiased populace. I also understand that the UK has fewer people than the United States. But hey, in the United States, when you've got a case like this, you look all across the country until you find someone who hasn't heard about the story. You put them on the jury, and now you've got an unbiased, unprejudiced person sitting there in the seat. Right? So, you know, I really don't think that I don't think that it's warranted to be like, oh, don't report about this at all. Like, come on, bro, come on. Last Monday, Counterterrorism Policing Southeast took the case from Devon and Cornwall police after new information and evidence came to light. The suspect, who was described by police officers as a white British national, was in police custody after being arrested in Rotherham. Devon and Cornwall police initially arrested a 26-year-old man from Newton Abbot in Devon, but later released him and said he was no longer part of the investigation. Interesting. So I wonder what the motive was. I heard rumors say that, you know, this had something to do with Anne Widdecombe's political views, which certainly would make sense considering the fact that Anne Widdecombe was an MP, an elected official. But we don't really know until we get more details. Maybe if you guys have any tips, you can send them to me in the Discord server, send them to the React requests where I will comb through them and I use those React requests as a basis for the content on these channels. Actually, send something in there that I'll react to it. You know, more information about this murder could certainly be there. By now, y'all know me. You know, I oppose political violence. Political violence is no fun. It's no good. It doesn't do anything to actually improve things in the country. And also, I think it's sinful as well as a believer. So, you know, there are plenty of peaceful ways, especially in democratic societies, to combat, you know, politicians that you don't like. You can protest, you can do whatever. Maybe not as much in the UK and America, but even still, they are somewhat democratic and they do have some semblance of free speech. Not as much, again, as the United States, but some semblance of free speech. So you can, you know, protest people that you don't like to an extent. In the UK, I would highly recommend doing that rather than committing acts of violence and terrorism. That is wrong. That is bad. That is evil. Do not do that. It is insane to me how popularized online running around killing people or running around destroying property. So many people are running around legitimizing these behaviors. No, don't do that. Behave yourself properly. Behave yourself appropriately. Okay, I do have a few more videos to react to. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to get to everything on my docket, but it is what it is. It is what it is. That's just how it goes. That's just how it be. But yeah, I wanted to dive into this as well. We have this video from News 24, which, by the way, if you are not familiar with News 24, you don't know what it is. News 24 is essentially, well, actually not essentially, it literally is Sky News Australia. If you remember Sky News Australia, they are no longer affiliated with the British Sky News. They are now owned by the same company as Fox News, which is News Corp, and they've finally rebranded. It was a very, very confusing branding situation because Sky News Australia was conservative and Sky News UK, the original Sky News, is liberal. So it's just like really weird whiplash. Also, I think they were using the name Sky News to put in more legitimacy onto their network. Not to say that Sky News Australia was illegitimate, but I think that people didn't associate the bias of Rupert Murdoch in Fox News with Sky News Australia, so they would put things out and then people would cite it and be like, oh look, even the mainstream media internationally is saying this, when like maybe it is mainstream to a degree, but it is biased. It's not like the mainstream media in the United States, which is biased in a different way. It's biased to the right, ours is biased to the left. A lot of people are recognizing this, so I do think that this is good because people are going to be like, oh no, this is News 24. What the heck is News 24? They're not going to be like, oh yeah, Sky News, I've heard of Sky News, when it's not the Sky News that they're thinking of. I know that Australian and British accents are similar, but they're not that similar. And this name and new logo as well are going to help with that. But anyways, that's all beside the point. Let's react to this. It's called Absolutely Petrified. Chilling new details emerge in Anne Widdecombe killing.
I want to turn to the shocking new details about Anne Widdecombe's alleged murder in the UK, which emerged overnight. The 78-year-old former British MP, who'd become a national treasure, was at home alone and had just finished doing a television interview. She was eating lunch just after midday when there was an intruder. 28-year-old Joshua Kerry is alleged to have driven more than 340 kilometres from his home to carry out this attack. He allegedly entered through an open door near her kitchen, allegedly struck her in the head with a hammer 21 times, stole her wallet and left. He was in the house for just 2 minutes. Such a violent and shocking murder, allegedly carried out in the space of 120 seconds. She would have been absolutely petrified.
We heard that on the day of her death, Anne Widdecombe was meant to have appeared on an online interview with Channel 5, but of course producers then didn't hear from her, so they then contacted her assistant, who then got in touch with her gardener, who was asked to go and check on her. That then happened the next day on the 9th of July, and her gardener found Anne Widdecombe lying face down in her kitchen with serious head injuries.
Especially considering how old old people shouldn't die this way. They should die peacefully in their sleep, or suddenly of a heart condition. Like, to live that long and then have it come to such a brutal end is particularly tragic. Of course, all violent deaths are tragic, but to live so much of your life, I feel like the latter years of your life really should be your best ones, right? Maybe you're dealing with a bum knee or something, but in general, like you've worked so hard, over the course of your life, you should be able to then retire, relax, and rest, rather than getting beaten in the head 21 times or whatever. Like that's just awful.
Can you just imagine? Alistair Richardson for the prosecution described this attack as planned and targeted. Detectives are still determining whether there was a political or terrorist connection to the attack. But it's a tragic event that has sent ripples worldwide. Anne Widdecombe wasn't just a former MP, she was loved by many after appearing on Dancing with the Stars. And as Brendan O'Neill told us here last night, she was a friend to all.
She had gone on reality TV shows. She was on Strictly Come Dancing. She was on Celebrity Big Brother.
Yeah, I had never heard of her before, but I've definitely seen her face in like memes and stuff.
She was, even though she is very, very conservative, and some people saw her as controversial, she was incredibly loved and very popular.
And he also complained about how the police have handled this investigation.
The police's handling of it has also shocked people, because they said very quickly that it doesn't seem to have been political and it doesn't seem to have been terrorism. And lots of people shouted down Nigel Farage when he said it looks like it might be.
More to come in this story, but it is a tragic end to a remarkable life.
Man. Well, to be fair, if the police are not releasing a lot of information, it's really hard to say one way or the other whether or not it's politically motivated or not. So, you know, I understand citizens especially being skeptical of claims that the I guess assassination, that's about the closest you can get to an assassination in the UK because they don't have guns, but an assassination of a previous famous politician was not politically motivated. That would surprise me a lot. It'll surprise a lot of people a lot. So unless there's proof that says otherwise, a lot of people are not going to buy it, and I don't even particularly blame them. But this is just sad. I hope that this is just a sad tragedy, and I do hope that the maximum penalty is getting served to this killer, who there's a high likelihood that might be the case because he is white and male. So hopefully he gets put under the jail, I think is the appropriate term to use here. All right, we've got this video here from Man Carrying Thing. It's called Woke 1 versus Woke 2. No, this is not a reference to the Cat in the Hat. This is a reference to a quote from AOC. Let me see if I can find the clip. Is there a clip of AOC saying something about Woke 1? Let me see if I can find it. Maybe it's here. It's a clip of a clip, but it's fine.
So the DSA is eyeing another win today, this time.
Here, her presence has made clear. Francesca Hong has made clear her present stances to her electorate.
Yeah, she's moved away from a lot of that.
Right, she's moved away from it. And I have a local city councilman that has this saying Woke 1 was crazy.
I mean, did the movement go too far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
I think that, you know, during lockdown, of course, rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric that we would use today.
I will say that, you know, lockdowns, they're not necessarily woke. Woke people embrace them, but they were more authoritarian than anything else. But, you know, a lot of people sort of roundly mocked her because she's condemning the rhetoric, but she's not condemning the stances. And some people are like, oh, you got woke 1, now you're going to have woke 2. You know, you thought woke 1 was bad, wait till you get woke 2. Like, some people are even deeming it like a threat. The insane thing is, over time, what has been included colloquially in the mainstream conception of what woke means has changed to be more and more transgressive. A lot of people find. So initially it was, you know, don't throw stones at gay people and don't call them slurs. You know, then it eventually was, you know, accept and embrace gender identities. Then it was, you know, allow LGBT couples to rent wombs. Like, now it's become like a lot of different things that a lot of people just find distasteful, if not nonsensical and disgusting, that are all, if you know, enveloped within woke 2, I guess you could say. And so her condemning vaguely the rhetoric that was used there, but not necessarily core tenets, and only condemning seemingly the rhetoric has struck a lot of people as tone deaf, especially as the left moves further and further to the left. Now, Man Carrying Things video, I'm presuming, is a bit more humorous than, you know, that serious take. But I am curious to see what he has to say about this.
It's become obvious we need to address some changes that have happened over the years. Let me start first by asking...
What, are you going to do a land acknowledgement?
No, but should we? Pronouns?
There we go.
What?
Nobody has time for
The
this.
differences between us have become heightened. I feel that as your progenitor, I have some responsibility in your current outlook.
What outlook, man? We're sitting in your master bedroom.
Primary.
Talking about what? Words,
Ideals, and...
Oh, this is so good. Master bedroom primary.
Ability in your current outlook.
What outlook, man? We're sitting in your master bedroom.
Primary.
Talking about what? Words,
Ideals, and goals.
That's why everyone wants to distance themselves from you. Woke one was kind of crazy.
You're just a fearful step backwards. We had Donald Trump, COVID, the Imagine music video. We had no choice but to be bold in our language. Also, I just want to point out that we're both white heterosexual men having this conversation. Just want to...
Heterosexual?
Acknowledge that. Acknowledge.
So what? You're so much better now. Just me, but scared to look stupid.
We're evolving, understanding optics, recognizing we can't win and help people's material circumstances unless we chill on the culture war stuff.
You mean lose on culture war stuff, which you clearly have, which is why you're so aloof and holier than thou.
Please, we're cool
Right.
now. We're less tax the rich and more fuck the rich.
Language.
During woke one, we'd be like, let's defund the police. During woke two, we're like, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about something else.
Do you hear yourself, folks? It's me, woke 3.
Can you educate this moron?
Woke 3. Yeah, it's me, woke 3. Kind of a metatextual wokeness written to critique and stand apart from whatever conversation's happening. Tell us who becomes president. Oh, there's no more presidents. I'm from way into the future. We don't get to woke 3 for a while.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because right now we are on like, I am the Senate of wokeness in the Democratic Party. So we gotta. They're gonna abolish the Senate first, then maybe the president. I don't know.
We just cycle back and forth between woke 1 and woke 2 for many decades, debating semantics and optics and so forth. I don't understand. As woke 3, I more or less exist to critique the various eras of wokeness, but even then my use is more academic, useful to researtrue of past eras. I don't understand. I'm a postmodern invention. I'm commenting upon the friend that's a little too woke. Am I right?
Shut the fuck up. That's my thing.
That's true. That's a humorous way to put it. I really like how he nailed the fact that this is just mostly a rebrand and it's not an actual reversion of a reversion or recanting of any of the actual ideals from the original woke 1. But again, wokeness is progressing. It's not just sitting in one place standing still. Excuse me. So yeah, a bit unfortunate there. But yeah, hopefully they continue with these blunders and they lose. I was very happy to see a lot of progressive Democrats win because they're going to be so much easier for Republicans to run against. Voters in America do not like socialism or communism. So even if your rallying cry is something as simple as like the rich are bad or we need a bigger welfare state, like generally speaking, that's not going to connect with a lot of voters. Also, I thought that the top comment was funny by Felipe 4700. The woke left without saying goodbye. Yeah.
The differences between us have become heightened. I feel that as your progenitor.
Yeah, rip that. Okay, we have a couple more things I wanted to react to. Let's react to this. I've been seeing this trending online. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard rumors that essentially Dean Withers has been hit with assault allegations. He has denied them, and apparently he has provided enough proof that actually some conservatives have come out and said, hey, this guy's a lib. I don't like his views, but don't sling around false accusations against people, especially if it's just for political reasons. This is a 4-minute clip. I don't know if this is the entirety of his statements. I don't know if this is the entirety of evidence that he shared, but I did, click through the thumbnails or previews and stuff, and I did see that some proof is included here. So I'm really interested in seeing what his defense is of these allegations.
And hop back into the slideshow. Problem number 4. Arguably, this is probably one of the biggest problems. The DMs don't exist. That's a pretty big problem. And I could prove it. Let's go ahead and click on this link. This is a screen recording that I took from my phone. Oh, it's glitching. This is a screen recording that I took from my phone showing that not only do I have no past DMs with this account, but what it also shows is that I haven't even tried to send this account a DM before. Let's go to...
Now, people in the comments are going to have to tell me whether or not what he's saying is accurate here. I don't use TikTok. I technically should probably get a TikTok to post clips and stuff. But I don't use TikTok. I don't know how it works. So I don't know whether or not what he's saying about how what he is going to say about how TikTok works is going to be accurate. I also would like to say, technically, this footage could be faked, because, if you have your phone on you, you could always just go like this. Oh, look, this is real. This is real. I see a lot of content creators being like, oh, look, here's screenshots of my messages. Like there was a whole thing with Miss Kiff and Emeru where Miss Kiff was, taking screenshots of messages that were on Emeru's accounts, and then they were misleading. And then Emeru went and showed the full context of everything, and it was saying something completely different than what Miss Kiff was saying that they were saying. It's just like, don't get into these wars. If you've got something like this, if you can, reasonably do so, try and actually go into the interface, scroll up. I've actually been guilty of taking screenshots and showing them. It's a lot easier to present when you do that. But if you've got the tech available with you now, especially with how people are editing stuff and faking DMs, if I had to leak DMs, I'm going into the app and scrolling up and down. Now, I may still take screenshots in case the other person knows that's what I'm going to do and they, delete their DMs. But just as far as me, like that's how I'm rolling.
So first and foremost, I show that it's the Emily account. Then I show the posts of the screenshots that we just looked at. And then I go to messages. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? At the bottom of the phone screen, it says, send message request to Emily. I have no DMs with this account. After I send the DM, it goes from saying send message request to Emily to message request sent.
Oh, see, so this is, I find this a little bit more convincing. It technically could be edited, but stuff like this is a bit more advanced to edit, so.
What this proves is that there were 0 previous DMs with this account in the slightest. And then, of course, at the end of the screen recording, I then go back to my profile page to show you that this is the same account that the DMs are allegedly with. So, let's recap everything that we've went over so far. So far, in everything that we've discussed, we have unearthed a handful of things.
Wait, so claim number 2 says how it felt getting essayed by the person I trusted the most, and then claim 1 said it was 100% essay, but he was a stranger. We hardly knew each other. Maybe I didn't say no clearly enough. Cringe. Actually, no. This is worse than cringe. This is bad and evil. Let's call it what it is. This is bad and evil.
Give me one moment. The first thing, we're almost there, sorry. The first thing that we have unearthed is that all of the posts of this quote-unquote girl are AI generated.
See, this is the benefit of being multilingual. I'm only monolingual, so I didn't know that this isn't real Chinese.
Quote-unquote girl or AI generated.
That's a freaking weird stance to have, though. Over there looking like a what's it called? Over there looking like an animatronic or one of those like bipedal robots.
Quote girl or AI generated. The second thing that we have unearthed are that the posts from this quote-unquote girl are contradictory. In one post she claims I'm a stranger, in another post she claims that she trusted me. The third thing that we have unearthed is that clearly the posted pictures of the screenshots of the DMs are fake. On top of the message in the first photo, there's no date. On top of the message in the second photo, there is a date. The second problem that we've unearthed relative to the DMs.
Bro, this reminds me of the wasn't there this drama where someone was lying about like a Minecraft YouTuber, Katie Bugs? Katie, is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah, it reminded me of the whole like Katie Bugs situation where, yeah, this is actually how I found Sleepy. If you've heard of Sleepy, I think this is kind of the drama where I found him through, or I started watching a lot of his content. I think he probably did all those videos, but like, she was running around lying about George Not Found assaulting her, and unfortunately, I think that didn't this tank his career? Like it hurt his career. Like he was in like a band or something, and he essentially got kicked from the band. Or am I thinking of someone else? Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. But yeah, no, it hurt him. I guess he's still alive, so that's cool. So I mean, it looks like he bounced back. That's good to see. But yeah, no, I mean, false accusations are horrible, and it causes two things. First of all, they tend to hurt, depending on how well you've crafted these stories, they tend to hurt the reputation of the person you're targeting, but also they hurt the reputation of other people making accusations, right? So like there was a situation, I've referenced this before, but there was a situation where there was someone back at Cedarville where I used to go to college, my alma mater. I kind of knew him, but he was kind of weird, so I kind of like distanced myself from him. I think maybe like 1 to 2 years before the stuff went down that he was accused of. But he was accused of not sexual assault, but sexual harassment of women on campus. And I was, asking people on campus like, oh, hey, did you hear this? Did you see this? Were there other witnesses and stuff? And like, I would rather, like, it's good to cover, and it was good to cover your bases. Like, it's good to cover your bases when you're in accusations. Like, okay, is it true? What's your source? With the details? Anything looks sketchy? Thankfully, the people I was talking to, they're trustworthy people, so I was able to take their word for it. But it just felt bad that you can't just be like, oh, someone makes an accusation, okay, I believe you, just because there are so many false accusations, false accusations out there. Also, now, while we're on the subject, I don't know if this is gonna come up, but just from my experience in that whole situation, I will say this: there's also a narrative running around saying like, "Oh, men love to protect abusers and stuff." From my experience in that situation, when the reaction to unearthed or claimed abuse tends to be one of two things: either A, you believe the claims and you distance yourself from the person who did the thing. That's what I did. I'm not friends with him anymore. I wasn't before this. He was a creep and weird before, but even afterwards, certainly not friends with him anymore. Or, I knew some other people who did this. Or you believe what the other person has to say. You believe the person who was accused, and yeah, you just remain that person's friend. Now, unfortunately, this was technically a he said, she said scenario. There was no hard proof. I just relied on the word of multiple people on campus whose word I trusted. And, to be fair, if you're friends with someone, you're probably going to trust what they have to say too. And at the time, I was not friends with this guy. So I didn't trust him. I don't blame them necessarily for believing him, though, because if you're friends with someone, you tend to believe your friends. Unless you got hard evidence or good reason not to. But still, those are the buckets that most men tend to be in. Not like, oh, well, you harassed this person. Well, she deserved it, or she should have given you her number. Like, no, like that's not how the majority of men think. So I just wanted to push back on mainstream narratives because these are really dumb.
Is that the contents of the DMs, both her message to me and my message to her, are 100% AI generated.
It's insane that
the third problem that we've
person
is that
it's insane that this person making allegations was so lazy that they couldn't even bother to actually do their own work when it comes to faking the stuff, like, making AI messages, making AI pictures, like, bro.
Generated. The third problem that we've unearthed is that the photo serving as a PFP in the DMs is also AI generated. And then the
why would you AI generate that? Can't you just rip the picture from his profile?
fourth problem that we've unearthed is, of course, the thing that we just went over, which is that the DMs literally don't exist. There's no way for me to make it more clear to any member of the audience that this is phony baloney. But unfortunately, in response to the phony baloney bullshit, the right has become unhinged.
Interestingly enough, literally how I found out about this was actually people on the right being like, yeah, no, don't make false accusations. This is a bad and evil thing to do. I'm actually really surprised that he said that the right became unhinged. Now, maybe there was a part of a stream that I missed where he went more into those reactions, but I didn't see those. He leaves his streams up now, which is good. He used to take his streams down. Let me see if I can find the stream where he did this. He was wearing that Deftones shirt. So I think it was this stream probably.
Hello and welcome in. Happy Friday. This is the Dean Withers Show, episode 500.
Let me see. All right, here we go. So we had already reacted to his initial response to the allegation claims that were made against him. However, he said that some people on the right were going after him about it. So I did want to react to that because I had never seen that before. The only part I heard was there were allegations against him. He debunked them. I went and saw the debunking. And it was actually people on the right who were telling me that, or not telling me, but it was actually people on the right on social media who were like, yo, this was debunked. Don't make false accusations, even of someone who's a lib that we disagree with. He made it seem like there were actually some people on the right who were believing this. Now, maybe this was before this all got debunked and they didn't know this was fake. But I did want to react to this as well.
There's no way for me to make it more clear to any member of the audience that this is phony baloney. But unfortunately, in response to the phony baloney bullshit, the right has become unhinged. My DMs are filled with people calling me a rapist. I've joined random lives on alt accounts, and they ask me why I raped somebody. People join this live stream and then say I raped them. And if you look at the chat right now, there's people saying, oh, you did it. Now, the last thing that I'd like to discuss is actually my thoughts on who this is. Since this Emily account popped up, which we've now proven to be 110% fake, there's been another account that has popped up too. Their account is going by the name of Tokyo. Tokyo claims to have personally spoken with Emily in DMs. Tokyo has hosted lives every night asking people if they think I raped Emily and asserting that he thinks I raped Emily. Last night, I joined Tokyo's live. There's a handful of things that I learned about him. His name is Uriah Moore. Uriah Moore.
So is he doxing right here? Like I don't know if he's doxing or not. Wouldn't condone doxing, but I also can't particularly blame him either. He's understandably and appropriately aggrieved.
Has gone to court for 2 restraining orders concerning stalking and domestic violence.
Oh, well, that's not good. I wonder if he has like some sort of unhealthy attachment to Dean Withers.
Uriah Moore has been publicly accused by 2 of his ex-girlfriends of raping them sexually abusing them, including a 5-year-old. Uriah.
He was dating a 5-year-old? I'm very confused. And that kind of hit me like a freight train. What? First of all, that's disgusting. Second of all, no, don't throw stones from glass houses. I'm shocked that someone who committed acts of assault would have the audacity to go and then falsely accuse someone else of assault. That is insane to me. Now, I do wonder if he's been convicted of those allegations, because if he hasn't been convicted and it hasn't really been demonstrated in public, then technically all you got are allegations, right? You can't run around saying someone is a rapist if you don't have proof, you don't have a conviction. Like, that would be like what? Like defamation or libel or whatever. But that is still, regardless, that's crazy.
Uriah Moore also leaked an ass photo of a woman on a TikTok account that he made because she didn't flirt with her. Due to the fact that Uriah Moore, Tokyo, as he's going by now, is the only account anywhere on the internet that seems to have access to this Emily profile and has been hosting lives on a daily basis talking about this Emily profile, and we've been able to conclude that this Emily person probably doesn't even exist due to the fact that even the posts are of, not including me or the allegations against me, just of a picture of Emily or AI. I think that Uriah Moore is Emily. Why would Uriah Moore do this? Uriah Moore has been an underground debater over the course of the last 3 years on TikTok lives. He's a pro-lifer. Uriah Moore has a lot of intersects with myself in smaller abortion debate lives.
Now, this would explain why some people on the right were condemning this, because it was making it seem like even if you disagree, don't go after this guy with false accusations. So this guy being on the right, that would explain it. That would make sense. But I was not expecting the situation to get this much darker. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, there we go.
And over the course of the last couple of years, Uriah Moore has always been this way. When pressed on his live stream last night, Uriah Moore said, "Yeah, I admit to you, there's probably no evidence of this, and this probably proves it wrong, but I'm just going to do it anyways." So that's where we're at, guys. And there's actually something else I wanted to talk about too. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is how the right is using this as an opportunity to try to push me off the cliff. There's another creator by the name of the Hoff. If you've watched this broadcast in the past, then maybe you've seen conversations between me and the Hoff. The Hoff is a creator on the right who hosts anti-left lives, debating liberals and leftists on ICE, abortion, the SAVE Act, and the Trump administration. He posted a video on his TikTok account saying, "Maybe I raped this fake person." He was live, then I actually joined his live, and I showed him everything that I just showed you guys, and then he quadrupled down on it. He said, "I've never been more confident," and then every other Trump supporter on his panel said the same thing. I told them that these types of false allegations are beyond disgusting.
Yes.
Beyond disgusting. And if I was not of a more confident position in my mind, because I would never do something like this, these same attitudes have driven other people to suicide. And they didn't care. The right doesn't care. They're peddling the same bullshit.
Well, I mean, I guess now that he's fully debunked it, the right does seem to be rallying around him, which is good. But yes, when it comes to the severity of making false allegations, in an earlier segment, I did point to how it damages legitimate claims, and it forces you to dig for more proof, because you can't just take these claims at face value now because of all the false allegations. But also, they cause harm to the individual who was accused, right? I didn't even touch on the mental health aspect of things. I had mostly talked about the professional side of things, which is also bad and unfortunate. But yeah, Dean Withers does have a good point here as well. And it's stuff like this, which is why many people say that, false allegations, they should have similar punishments to actual assault. Like if you actually committed assaults, the punishment should be comparable to what you're being accused of. The punishment should be similar to what you're accusing the other person of doing. And I think that there's a compelling argument there.
And now every day that I go live, including in the chat on TikTok today, more people are creating more fake accounts, typing in my TikTok comment section, Dean raped me. Over the course of the last 24 hours, following the creation of this fake AI-generated Emily account that we've proven to be false with use of different means, I've probably been accused of raping now upwards of 400 people. And if you're in the TikTok stream and you look at the chat, every minute that number grows by about 5. This is my appeal to anybody with common sense and common decency. Don't do this. Not to me, not to anybody else. Intentionally peddling false allegations of rape is one of the worst things that one person could do to another. People have ended their lives over false allegations. People have had their lives destroyed by false allegations. And not only does a false allegation impact the individual that's being falsely accused, but it also impacts the entirety of the survivor community. Every day in America and across the globe, there are way too many people that are raped, people that are assaulted, people that are abused, and people that are taken advantage of. And they're not believed. There are countless instances that you could name, I could name, we all could name. Maybe even this is a personal experience of yourself, of being taken advantage of, confiding in your family, maybe a counselor at school, somebody that you trust, and them not believing you. Why? Because of shit like this. Shit like this drives victims to not be believed. Shit like this drives individuals that are being falsely accused to end their own lives and have their careers and reputations destroyed. Be better. This does not have to be right versus left. You can be a Republican and not be an inhumane, absolutely far gone, in the weeds, way off in the field, let's try to get people to kill themselves because we don't like them by falsely accusing them of rape. That mindset is not exclusive to people on the left. But I will say that many people on the right have been putting the legwork in to making that mindset exclusive to people on the left.
I don't know what that means. Are they saying that people on the right don't make false accusations? I don't know. I'm not quite sure what he's referring to there.
And that's all. If you want the specifics of the slideshow that I showed earlier, you will be able to find them in my YouTube VOD. And if you're wondering why I've spent so much time dwelling on this, and why I'm still talking about it right now, it goes far beyond the fact that this is reputationally damageable to an inconceivable degree. It's because I myself have experienced sexual violence. The last 4 days...
Oh! I did not know this. That's awful. I have a natural tendency to try to make jokes, but I'm going to refrain here because this is a very serious matter here.
I've been crying myself to sleep over this. I'm not even kidding. It has been the most pathetic thing ever. I'm a person.
I don't like him framing his crying over this as pathetic, because when you're in a situation as dark and serious as this, it's natural to be emotionally overwhelmed. Even if you are the type of person who's like, oh, men should never cry, you know, et cetera, this is one of the few moments where it would make sense, you know. This is one of the most devastating things that can happen to someone, especially someone who is of status, right? You know, Dean Withers is the type of person who has a lot to lose. You know, looking here, he's got over 900 subscribers. He has some political emotion. A lot of people watch his stuff. Like what, this VOD is like almost 70,000 views. At a time when like the average person watching a stream has 1 or 2. I myself have had 0 over the course of me streaming for 2 hours. This guy is above and beyond where most people are with content creation. Most people are with political impact. And you know, for him, on a professional level, losing, you know, the possibility of losing that has to be devastating. When you think of him, when he just thinks of his reputation, they're like, oh, most people are going to think that I accused that I committed an act of violence like this on someone. That's also got to be that's also got to be incredibly damaging and heavy to sit with as well. So yeah, no, you know, I would not call him crying over something like this to be pathetic at all. I mean, look, we got people over here crying after losing jobs. You know, that is like at least 10, if not 1,000 times less impactful than a false assault allegation.
Ever. I'm a person too. You could politically disagree with me without doing this.
Hey Dean, can I tell you something before I go?
Oh, I forgot that you were even on the live stream. You said that you gotta go. I'm gonna go to move on, but let's go ahead and try to get back into the debates.
Yeah, no, that's sad and disappointing. Yeah, you hate to see stuff like this out there. One thing that I do think is great is that people are finding ways to debunk this, which is crucial because sometimes people make false allegations and they're hard to disprove. And some people end up being like undecisive, or there ends up being reason to be on either side of the issue. But here it's pretty clear. Dean Withers was falsely accused of sexual assault, and if there are legal routes and avenues that he can take, he most certainly should take them. Libel, slander, all of it. He should take up to a lawyer. Lawyer should give him all the options, and he should pursue all those options to the full to the best of his ability, because you can't let stuff like this slide. Someone like this is going to do something like this to somebody else, right? So he needs to take action. He needs to stop this. He also needs to set the precedent that if anyone else tries this nonsense on him, they're going to be stopped too, and they're going to, at the very least, have to pay a lot of money to a lawyer, if not spend a lot of time behind bars. So good on Dean Withers for sticking around, for staying online, for debunking the allegations. He's stronger than a lot of men have been in the face of allegations like these. So bravo to Dean Withers, and also good on the Republicans and conservatives who are also defending him in the wake of this, because it's always good to sort of show some charitability to people on the other side, especially when something as deeply personal and deeply devastating as this. All right, so we've got this video here. This is from, this is actually not from Brian Tyler Cohen. Now, this is maybe not like the most credible thing. I think this is just something interesting that I think is worth bringing to people's attention, because if it is true, it's like one of those like big if true stories. If this is true, this is huge. So before I play this, I'm going to say this is not the original video. This has been run through AI translation. This is the original video. But if I play this, you're not going to be able to understand what's being said through the audio. There's text there, but I don't want to pause and keep on talking. I know a lot of people watch YouTube content while they're walking or driving or whatever, in which, of course, if you're driving, you're probably looking at your phone, in which case, put your phone down, just listen. I'll describe everything that needs to be described. You know, I come from listening to talk radio as a kid. I have a love for the format, and I kind of almost treat it like this. I want you to be able to understand everything that's going on without looking at the screen. But yeah, so Brian Tyler Cohen, his video is the AI translated version of this video. There are a couple things about this that make me question its veracity, but I do think that, you know, once you've got a video of something happening, it's worth looking into and being like, hey, is this legit? If this is legit, what are the ramifications? What should the ramifications be?
This video is intended to reach health authorities and the media so that the reality of what we are all experiencing here in this center is known. They are trying to kill us, I don't know, practically with the food. They are giving us expired food, bad food. Apart from that, the place is not in medical condition to cover what is happening. There are people getting sick. There is a flu going around this place that never goes away because we are overcrowded, 76 people in a single cell. In reality, the contamination here is incredible. Besides that, next door there is a cell where everyone has conjunctivitis. For those suffering from tuberculosis, there are people with tuberculosis, I know it, and I bear witness to it because I work in the kitchen, and they are putting them in the punishment cell because they don't want to mix them with the others. People with tuberculosis are coughing up blood, and they are not taking them to a medical center to treat them. So we ask everyone who can share this with us and help share this information to please help us. Let's not wait until it's a family member or a friend who is suffering or going through these situations. I'm not just saying this for myself, I'm saying it because here, besides young people, there are also elderly people, older people. So what are they waiting for? For them to kick the bucket and then they'll say no, that it was negligence on the part of that person. It's negligence by the center. Anyone who can come or can help spread this message, please help us. Because look, we are all here as a group and we all raise our hands and speak the reality of what is happening. This is not a game. They are playing with lives and treating us like animals.
Okay, so I have a few doubts about this. First of all, we don't know that this is AI. Now, I don't know how to analyze videos empirically to measure whether or not it's AI. So if you know the way to test if this is AI, let me know. I've got links to different copies of this video so I can run them through and see. But frankly, I don't know if this is AI or not. It doesn't look like the AI, but this also looks like the type of thing that could be easily faked with AI, especially if you say, hey, make it look like it's low quality. Then things that might normally stand out in a video just look like artifacts from video compression. Understandable. Also, I don't know if it is even true that you can do video calls with people who are in ICE detention. Phone calls, I wouldn't be entirely shocked. I don't know if it'd be standard, but I wouldn't be entirely shocked. But, you know, video calls, that would surprise me a lot. Now, some people are like, oh, well, it's impossible to get video from there. I wouldn't say impossible, because people have smuggled cameras and things into jails before. If, you know, you could smuggle in a camera, take a video of this happening, and then leak that out somehow, that would be somewhat believable. A live video call, not as believable, but again, I could be wrong. Different ICE detention facilities handle things differently, but just as my understanding, that's at the very least not common for someone to be able to do a video call inside of an ICE detention center. But also, the thing that stands out the most to me is the fact that I have not been able to identify the source of this getting released. So there are many people posting about this. This posted about this, and this has more details. I'm going to read this here. This is from Observer Diplomat Magazine. A video reportedly posted on August 8 from the River Center ICE Detention Center in Louisiana shows the detainee describing severe overcrowding and poor health conditions. The detainee claims that 76 people were being held in a single cell and alleges outbreaks of flu and conjunctivitis with while people with tuberculosis were allegedly placed in punishment cells instead of receiving medical treatment. The claims have prompted an appeal to health authorities and the media for urgent attention. The allegations have not been independently verified. Many people have made very similar posts like this. This has been spreading most on Instagram. But I will say this. I've not been able to identify the source of this release. Typically, I'm able to trust something a little bit more if I can put my finger on, okay, this claim came from exactly this place, but I can't do that with this. So it makes it really hard to verify whether or not this is true, whether or not someone made this with AI, let it spread and then deleted the original copy. I really do hope that we get more details on this and this story is not buried, because if this is true, this is a massive scandal that needs to be rectified as soon as possible. I am not the type of person who's like, oh, all of the American prisons and ICE detention centers need to be like Norway. I'm not one of those people at all. But I also think that there is a basic standard of living that should be provided to everyone in a detention center, right? You should be given food that hasn't been expired, for example. And if you're sick, either on site or off site, there should be people who are able to take care of your medical needs. So I think it's unacceptable for at least those two conditions to not be met. And it sounds like from that claim, if it's true, they're not being met at that detention center. So I really hope that there's a full investigation into this. Either this is debunked or this is confirmed and these issues are resolved, because, either way, first of all, it's unacceptable for people to be running out and spreading false information like that. But B, if it's true, it's unacceptable for the conditions to be like that, and that needs to be fixed and rectified as soon as possible. All right, long stream. I don't know why it felt so long, because it actually wasn't that long. It was just 2 hours. I will say that I'm pretty tired today, but this was a fun stream. It's a very fun stream. We were able to get through a lot of things. A very, very serious stream though. A lot of heavier topics than what we usually cover on here. I do apologize to all of the Minecraft fanboys who wanted me to go on here and be like, oh, fix Mojang Bedrock. Well, I mean, maybe next time. Anyways, thanks everyone for tuning in. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning into the stream. No one tuned in this time, but I'm sure someone will watch the clips. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys regardless. Maybe some people are watching the VODs, I don't know. But yeah, don't forget to check out the Discord server. The link is dscrd.ndnwb.cc. So place you want to be if you want to chat with me, and the link is right here on the screen. There you can send me things to react to. You guys influence the things that I react to and comment on while I make my content. Don't forget to check out the Non-Noob Highlights channel as well. I upload videos on most Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon. I also post stuff on Rumble, but I'm not going to push that until I get banned. I'm not expecting to get banned, but if it happens, I've got parachutes, bro. I got a kick account. I can stream on Rumble. There's other stuff in the works. But anyways, to each and every one of you guys who tuned in, thank you so much. I do appreciate each and every one of you, even if you're watching on the VOD. You're making it to the end, which is crazy, especially with TikTok brain going around. But yeah, hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Peace out, y'all.